over 2,600 years ago, while humanity was still fumbling in the long night of suffering, an enlightened one drew a map. That map did not lead to some distant paradise, but to a treasure hidden right inside each of us, true peace and wisdom. That map is called the Noble Eightfold Path. But through the flow of time, many have looked at this map and mistakenly believed it was only for ascetics who practiced austerities, for those who wished to escape from life. The truth is, this is a GPS for the soul, designed to help us navigate the complex roads of modern life. Let us reflect on the story of Mrs. Lawn. Mrs. Lawn is a devoted mother and grandmother whose entire life has been lived for her children and grandchildren. Her joy is their smile. Her sorrow is every cough, every fever of her youngest grandchild. She worries about her children's every meal and moment of sleep, and she worries about their future and careers even more than they do themselves. Her love is boundless, but it has also become an invisible rope that binds both her and her loved ones. She intervenes in all of her children's decisions, from choosing a school for her grandchild to buying an item for the house. She lives in a constant state of tension and anxiety, her mind never at rest. She believes that she must sacrifice herself in this way for the family to be happy. But she doesn't realize that her own constant anxiety is creating a heavy, suffocating atmosphere in the very home she loves most. She wants to bring peace to her family, but she herself is the one who has no peace. The story of Mrs. Lawn is a miniature portrait of so many of us. We love, we are responsible, we strive with all our might for good things, but we are walking on a rocky path of anxiety, stress, and exhaustion. We are trying to steer the boat of our lives, but we have no compass, no map in hand. The Noble Eightfold Path is that map. It is not a dry list of prohibitions, nor a call for us to abandon our families and jobs to become mountain hermits. Quite the opposite. It is an incredibly practical toolkit, an art of living designed to be applied right in the midst of daily life, to help Mrs. Lawn continue to love her children and grandchildren, but with a wise love, no longer binding, to help us continue to pursue our goals in life, but on a path that is more serene and peaceful. It does not teach us to run from the waves of life, but teaches us how to become a skillful surfer. So where does this map of the Noble Eightfold Path begin? It begins with the first path, which is also the most important foundation, called right view. Right means correct or wise, and view means the way of seeing, the perspective. Right view is to have a correct perspective. A correct perspective here is not blind faith in some dogma, but the ability to see into the nature of things, especially to see through the operating principles of our own lives, the law of cause and effect, or karma. This is a natural law of the universe, as objective as the law of gravity. Plant an orange seed, and you will get an orange tree. Plant a chili seed, and you will get a chili plant. Similarly, every thought, word, and action of ours is an invisible seed that we are sowing into the soil of reality. An action born from hatred will reap suffering. A word spoken from compassion will reap joy. Mrs. Lawn in our story has an obscured view, a wrong view. She believes that her family's happiness comes from her need to control, to worry, and to sacrifice everything. She fails to see that the very actions born from her excessive anxiety, the cause, are creating a tense and suffocating atmosphere, the effect. She wants to plant happiness, but she is using the seeds of fear. Right view helps us to pause and see this map of cause and effect clearly. It teaches us that all the suffering or happiness we experience is not a random punishment or blessing from some deity, but the inevitable result of the seeds we have sown in the past. And more importantly, it gives us a great power, the power to change the future. How? By choosing to sow the right seeds in this very present moment. Once we have right view, the second path of the journey automatically opens up, right thought, which means thinking correctly. This is not just shallow positive thinking, but the ability to steer our stream of thought away from the three greatest toxins of the mind: greed, aversion, and delusion. Mrs. Lon, instead of being swept away by the current of anxious thoughts, which stem from delusion and attachment to her children, could begin to practice thinking in a different direction. How can I love my children without suffocating them? How can I find peace first, so that I can spread that peace to my whole family? Right view is the compass, and right thought is the rudder. Once the compass is pointing in the right direction and the rudder has been turned, our boat will begin to change course, leaving the sea of suffering and heading towards the sea of tranquility. Once the ship of the mind has been set on the right course by right view and right thought, that energy will begin to manifest in the outer world through our actions. And the first, most intimate, and most powerful action is speech. This is when we step onto the third path, right speech. Our words possess an immense power. They can be a healing medicine, lifting up a soul in despair, but they can also be a sharp blade, inflicting deep wounds that even time struggles to erase. Mrs. Lon, with good intentions, may have used words born of anxiety to remind and control her children and grandchildren. But those words, though not malicious, inadvertently created pressure and discomfort. Right speech is not simply about not telling lies. That is only the basic foundation. A word is considered right when it meets 4 criteria. First, the words must be true. Second, the words must be beneficial, bringing value to the listener. Third, the words must be spoken at the right time and in the right place. And finally, they must be spoken with a kind, gentle attitude, stemming from a heart of compassion. Practicing right speech is an art. It requires us to listen more, to understand before we judge. It teaches us how to give constructive feedback instead of criticism, how to comfort and encourage instead of complaining and blaming. A sincere compliment at the right moment can change someone's entire day. A gentle apology can mend a relationship on the brink of collapse. From speech, we move to the 4th path, right action. The action here is karma. Right action means correct actions, driven by right thought, that cause no harm to oneself or others. It covers 3 main aspects: actions of the body, speech, and mind. But here, it emphasizes actions of the body. That is, to refrain from killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. But on a deeper level, right action is about living a life of ethics and integrity in every small act. It is the kindness of a person giving up their seat for an elder on the bus, the honesty of a shopkeeper who doesn't overcharge or cheat on the scales, the responsibility of a father who plays with his child after a long day of work. Every wholesome action, no matter how small, is a beautiful seed we sow into the universe, and surely we will reap the sweet fruits of peace and serenity in our souls. Once we have practiced right action in our personal lives, we will naturally want to extend that rightness into an area that occupies most of our time and energy: our work. This is when we step onto the 5th path, right livelihood. Livelihood here means our life, our subsistence, the means by which we support ourselves and our families. Right livelihood is to support oneself through a profession that is honest and ethical. A profession is considered right when it does not violate the 2 core principles of right action. It causes no harm to living beings, and it causes no harm to society. This means we should avoid work such as trading in weapons, human trafficking, producing toxins, engaging in fraud, or any industry built on the suffering of others and the destruction of the environment. But right livelihood doesn't just stop at avoiding evil. Its deeper meaning is an invitation for us to consciously choose a job, not just to earn money, but also to create value, to be of service to the world. That could be the work of a dedicated teacher, a doctor devoted to their patients, a farmer who grows organic vegetables, or a craftsperson who creates beautiful, durable products. When our work benefits others, when we see meaning in what we do, then work is no longer a burden of survival. It becomes a path to express kindness, to hone our talents, and to contribute to life. Physical fatigue may still be there, but the emptiness and meaninglessness in the soul will vanish. We will find a profound joy, a satisfaction that comes from knowing we are living a useful life. To walk this noble path, there will certainly be times when we feel discouraged, tired. Old habits will pull us back. This is when we need the energy of the sixth path, right effort. Effort here does not mean struggling blindly, exhausting all our energy. It is an intelligent effort, a persistent and balanced diligence. Right effort consists of 4 aspects. First, the effort to prevent unwholesome thoughts and actions from arising. Second, the effort to abandon unwholesome thoughts and actions that have already arisen. Third, the effort to cultivate wholesome thoughts and actions that have not yet arisen. And fourth, the effort to maintain and nurture wholesome thoughts and actions that are already present. It is like the work of a diligent gardener. That person must diligently pull out the weeds, bad habits, and, at the same time, patiently water and fertilize the flowers, good habits. Right effort teaches us to balance effort and rest, so that our journey of transformation is a long, sustainable marathon, not a sprint that leads to burnout. Once we have the right direction, right thinking, right speech and action, along with persistent effort, we need 2 more crucial tools to fully master the ship of our mind, especially amidst the stormy seas of life. These are the final 2 paths of the journey, right mindfulness and right concentration. The 7th path, right mindfulness, is perhaps a concept that has become familiar to many of us. But right mindfulness is not a complex technique or some mystical trance. It is simply the ability to be clearly aware of what is happening, right in the present moment, without judgment. Mrs. Lawn, when the anxiety for her children rises in her heart, instead of being swept away by it and turning it into interfering words and actions, can practice right mindfulness. She just needs to sit quietly and recognize, there is a feeling of anxiety within me. My heart is beating a little faster. My breath is a bit shallower. She just observes it as she would observe a cloud passing in the sky, not trying to push it away, nor identifying herself with it. And something magical will happen. When an emotion is observed with a non-judgmental attitude, it automatically loses its power and dissolves, just as darkness vanishes when light shines upon it. Right mindfulness is the headlight, helping us to illuminate and master our inner world. We can practice right mindfulness in all our daily activities. When drinking a cup of tea, know that you are drinking tea. Feel its aroma, its warmth. When walking, feel each footstep touching the ground. When listening to someone speak, truly listen with your full attention. To live with right mindfulness is to live with awareness, bringing the mind back to reality, freeing it from wandering endlessly into the past or the future. From the foundation of right mindfulness, we develop the 8th path and the pinnacle of mental training, right concentration. Concentration is samadhi, the stability and stillness of the mind. If right mindfulness is the floodlight that illuminates everything, then right concentration is the ability to focus that light into a powerful, penetrating laser beam. A mind with concentration is a mind that is not scattered, not distracted by external noises or internal chatter. It is like the surface of a calm lake, able to reflect all things clearly and truthfully. When faced with a difficult problem at work or in the family, instead of reacting impulsively in a panic, a person with right concentration can keep their mind calm, thereby seeing the essence of the problem and making the wisest decision. Right concentration is not a dull, empty state, but a state of high focus, tranquility, and full energy. It is the strength that comes from stillness. And so, we have journeyed together through all 8 branches of the path of awakening, beginning with right view to see correctly, leading to right thought to think correctly. From there, manifesting as right speech to speak correctly, right action to act correctly, and right livelihood to live correctly. This entire journey is nourished by the energy of right effort, the correct striving. And it is illuminated and mastered by the two powerful tools of right mindfulness for constant awareness and right concentration for unwavering focus. These 8 paths are not 8 separate, sequential steps. They are like 8 strands of a rope, perfectly woven together to create an unbreakable cable, helping us to pull the boat of our life through any storm. They support and nurture each other. One must see correctly to think correctly. One must think correctly for speech and action to be correct. One must act correctly to have the right effort. And one must have awareness and concentration to maintain all of the above. The ultimate purpose of practicing the Noble Eightfold Path is not to turn us into saints who are detached from reality, or to escape the responsibilities of life. Quite the contrary. Its purpose is to transform how we see and act right within this very life. It is a practical training course to help us live more intelligently, more balanced, and to find tranquility from within, even while facing the pressures of modern society. Happiness and peace, it turns out, are not a destination at the end of the road, nor a reward reserved only for those who renounce the world. They are the path itself. Every step you take in right mindfulness, every word you speak in right speech, every action you perform in right action, that is happiness, that is peace. It is a state that can be achieved right here and now, when we master ourselves, live a meaningful life, and are free from within. So how can we start walking this path today? The answer is, start with the smallest steps. There is no need to do anything grandiose. Start by observing the biases in your thoughts. Practice speaking a kind word instead of a critical one. Look at the work you are doing and ask yourself if it is causing harm to anyone. And every day, set aside just 5 minutes to sit still, return to your breath, and practice awareness. It is these small but consistent changes that will create a great and lasting transformation over time. This is one of the videos in the Cosmic Energy series, where science and spirituality converge to help you better understand yourself and the evolution of consciousness. Please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos.